Hello everyone. Happy Sunday. As you can see, it is Whimsy, your favorite tarot reader named Whimsy, and my trusted familiar, Mila, who has decided to join us for this video. She was out on the porch contemplating the birds, and then when she saw me pull the iPhone out, she desperately wanted to come back in and say hi to everybody. So she gets it, I think. She gets that what we're doing here, because sometimes she watches our videos and she gets a kick out of watching herself. All right, so I've had a couple requests this Sunday to talk about the future of the Republican Party, and specifically to throw cards on members of the Republican Senate. I think we'll do that today. Also to talk about the shift in energy I saw in the Republican Party. I want to go a little bit more into that today so that people understand the meditations. For those people who are also doing the heart-centered meditation at night, I'd be interested if you could tell me what you're picking up when you connect with the Republican Senate. But I'm going to just tell you what I feel when I go into to the Senate. I feel when I meditate on the Senate, and specifically when I meditate on the Republican Senate since the release of the Mueller report, there's a fear. The Mueller report had a much more profound effect on members of the GOP in the Senate than is publicly known. On the one hand, we hear from the Republicans that everything is fine, there was no collusion. They're all giving the same talking points. But when I meditate on the energy, I feel something entirely different. There's a lot of energy in the Republican Party that feels like they're worried. They're worried about the Russian hacking. They're worried about the fact they really believed there's a certain percentage of the Republican Senate that really believed the whole thing was a hoax, that really believed that it was exaggerated by the Democrats because the messenger was the Democrats. But since reading the Mueller report, there's been a slow, steady rise of concern, it feels like, within the Republican Party about hackings, about what the Russians did, and a real fear about the 2020 elections. The other thing I'm picking up is I wanted to talk a little bit about the interview with Hillary Clinton that I had spoken about last time when she was about Hillary Clinton being interviewed by Rachel Maddow. And believe it or not, there are people in the Republican Senate that do respect Hillary Clinton, and she's quite a statesperson. I mean, she has quite an impressive resume. When she joked about asking China for help, there's actually some legitimacy to that, in the sense that the Chinese really are trying to hack the elections, in the sense that the Chinese really are trying to interfere with our free elections, and in a sense that the Chinese really are going to probably back the Democratic Party because the Republican president, Donald Trump, has been so hard on China. So even though Hillary Clinton was joking, within the joke, she was trying to get Republicans to snap out of it, because until they realize just how serious this is, these hackings, and the fact that they themselves are going to be victims in 2020, they've been incredibly acquiesced. I mean, they were unbelievably, they were in denial because they got what they wanted. They were in denial. They were dismissing the Democrats. That's the energy I feel has changed. They're not in denial anymore. They're not dismissing the Democrats. Instead, the energy in the GOP Senate is a feeling of slowly realizing that we're under attack, and now what do we need to do to protect ourselves? So they're now on board in a way with the Republicans are on board with accepting the Russian hacking in ways they hadn't before, because they now see that they could be potential targets themselves in 2020. So goading China the way that Hillary Clinton did. Again, it was a joke. I get that. But even though it was a joke, China was listening. And even though Joe Biden jokingly said, hey, the Chinese are great, they're joking, but within the jokes, the Republicans are genuinely getting scared. The Republicans are seeing that and saying, yeah, they're just calling it a joke, but dang, the Chinese might take them seriously. We need to get our cybersecurity in order. Maybe that was what the Democrats needed to do in order to get the GOP to wake up and say, okay, we need to seriously start talking about securing the elections in 2020. So that is what I feel is going on in the Senate. I also feel that support for this president, it just feels like a love affair that's gone sour. It's like 1 minute you're really enthusiastic about a guy, and then he shows you his true colors. Excuse me. He shows you his true colors, and then all of a sudden you don't return his text. You ghost him, or you try to get away from him because you've started to see his real colors. That's the energy of the GOP Senate. It's a feeling like they've grown cold to this president, and they're slowly not wanting to be associated with him. And then there's the issue of terrorism in the United States. Right-wing extremist terror groups in the United States rising, and that's also become a genuine concern for both parties. All right, so I'm just going to do there's a couple of other things I want to talk about. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that I've been feeling some potential. I always try to be positive, but I'm feeling like a very aggressive attack being planned. I'm trying to sense where it's coming from, possibly Europe. So I wanted to do a throw on that as well. So we're going to go ahead and just throw what's going to be happening for the coming week. And then I want to throw on the Republicans. In terms of what's going on for the week, I'm a little concerned about this aggressive tower energy. It looks almost like an attack or a major conflict coming up this week. Let's take a look at that first off. Base card, partnership regarding money. This is something that came up yesterday. It's this idea that money is coming in, or possibly money coming into the budget, and some kind of partnership or agreeing on the budget, or we're going to be right back to another government shutdown. So there's something about cooperation or working together regarding the budget. Where we are at right now, the Page of Swords is moving in, cutting a termination or an ending or possibly a blocking of relationships that we had once felt were significant. There's a feeling going into the coming week that relationships may be coming to an end and new relationships beginning. There's a Knight of Wands sitting in the third house, what we marinate or sit in. Both parties, in a sense, want to go forward, but there's a judgment coming in regarding how to move forward that requires necessary losses. So I feel like the necessary loss, if the GOP and the Democrats want to work together and move forward, there's a feeling like they're going to have to let something go. The judgment is about letting something go. Whether it's the Mueller report, whether it's impeachment, or whether it's the GOP defending this president, there's a new contract coming. A new relationship. A new relationship. A star is coming in, victory, hopes and fears. leaving a situation that has them in exile and a new contract coming in. So it feels to me like new opportunities for dialogue between the GOP and the Democrats trying to move forward, a new contract. But there's also a feeling like now the Democrats have leverage. And so because they have leverage, there's more of a willingness on the part of the GOP to break away from previous relationships or commitments and begin working more with the Democrats. So it feels to me like they are slowly severing their relationship with this administration and beginning to open the door to more dialogue, particularly when it comes to things like cybersecurity, securing the 2020 elections. We're going to see more cooperation from the Republicans that we did not have in the past. And part of this is because they now realize that they are just as vulnerable as the Democrats. So that's going to lead to more cooperation, but it's also going to create a kind of freeze between the GOP and this president. They're going to declare him, I think, the official GOP presidential nominee. I think that's going to be in June, but this looks to me like there's reservation about it. There's real reservation about it. All right, so now I just want to go in specifically and ask if the Republicans are going to endorse this president going forward. If the Senate is going to continue to endorse this president. I have to find out. Let's take a look. Will this Senate support this presidency? A new beginning in Washington, page of wands moving in, defensiveness, still trying to protect their territory or their position, where they are at right now, creating a new contract, new businesses. Eight of Pentacles moving in, they're doing the work. It's again showing cooperation that didn't exist for the first 2 years. There's a real attempt by members of the GOP and the Democratic Party to start getting some bills passed and working across the aisles. Hanging up the magician, hanging up the seat of power, walking away from a battle that cannot be won, moving towards partnership. The Queen of Cups is now the archetype that keeps moving in for the GOP. Cooperate, cooperate, cooperate. Budgets. Budgets, contracts, information regarding the budget, disagreements about money and finances. This is all about the budget. The Republican Party will abandon this president. That is what I think. Remember when I had said that I had a vision or a meditation last year where Lindsey Graham informed the president that the Senate had acquired the votes to impeach the president, and they gave him the honor as the president because they respect the office of the presidency, as far as Lindsey Graham is concerned, must always be protected and respected. So out of respect for the office, I think that the president will be given the opportunity to resign. The opportunity to resign is something that he's given because of respect for the office he holds, but the Senate is turning. 5 GOP members, I believe they were mostly from the Senate, have read the Mueller report. That was less redacted. I think no Democrats and five Republicans have already gone down and taken a look at it. This kind of fits with the energy that I see in the Republican Party. It's interesting. There's a naivety, I feel, in the Republican Party where there are certain people in the Republican Party, senators in the Republican Party, that genuinely believe the whole thing was a hoax, and now they don't. There are people in the Republican Senate that are deeply concerned by what they read in the Mueller report, and they want clarification. And they're deeply concerned about the communication between WikiLeaks and Don Jr., and that's why he needs to come talk to the Senate. So the tide is turning. Again, publicly what they're saying and privately what's going on are very, very different. This love affair is coming to an end because they're starting to feel like they were lied to, and there are some really hard questions that they want answered. The clarification. They're going to come to regret the relationship that they had with this president, and they're going to be desperately trying to renegotiate some kind of dialogue and peacekeeping with the Democrats going forward, because they are really afraid about their futures in the 2020 election. And that is the best way for me to interpret these cards. Wow. So more cooperation from the GOP, which fears that what happens to the Democrats is going to happen to them. And some of them genuinely believed that the president was the victim of a hoax. And after reading the Mueller report and doing their own private research and going down and reading the less redacted version, they're starting to get to a point where they now believe something did happen, and they're deeply concerned, and they have real questions for this administration that the administration doesn't seem to be able to answer. Okay, so I'm going to now just look at Mitch McConnell. Somebody had requested I look at his records to see if he's going to run again. Let's take a look. Well, Mitch McConnell run for the Senate again. Base card, the tower is coming. Probably not. It looks like something major is about to hit, and as a result of this shockwave, it is going to force the Six of Pentacles, which means benevolence. So something is going to shock or disturb Mitch McConnell's world to such an extent that he's going to have to reach across the aisle. That's the best way for me to interpret the base. He's heartbroken. The GOP is falling apart. That's how it feels. The Senate is falling apart. People are off reading the Mueller report, and they're doing their own private investigations, and then they're asking pointed questions of other Republican senators that the Republican senators are not able to answer those questions. Burr can't answer these questions. McConnell cannot answer these questions. Lindsey Graham cannot answer these questions. And the questions are getting louder and louder and louder. So there are people within the GOP Senate that are demanding to reopen this investigation. It had a shocking impact on the Republicans, the Mueller report, that nobody is talking about. Nancy Pelosi right over the card here, heartbreak. This is Mitch McConnell, defensive. It was all about the courts for him. It was all about the courts. He made a deal. He made a deal that unfortunately he's now going to have to pay for. His cards are not good. The truth will come out. The truth will come out about Mitch McConnell, and the truth will come out about the deals he made and what he felt he had to do in order to secure the courts. Unfortunately, as a result of that, rather than getting rid of Mitch McConnell, we want to make deals with Mitch McConnell. We are now in a position of power to work with McConnell. Probably, I don't think he's going to get reelected, but for now, there's some kind of trauma or truth that comes out, which is shocking or disturbing to Mitch McConnell. But as a result of that, he's going to be forced to have to reach across the aisle and work with people like Nancy Pelosi. Do I think he's going to be reelected? No. No, I don't see that. All right, I'm going to do Lindsey Graham, Miss Lindsey, and see if Miss Lindsey is going to run again. Poor Miss Lindsey. Her heart's just broken. Let's take a look. What is the future of Miss Lindsey? Base card. He's exhausted. It's not just that he's exhausted, it's that he's emotionally exhausted. There is a side of Lindsey Graham where, in his mind, self-awareness is pretty important. We all sometimes can become disconnected with how we are perceived by the outside world. Lindsey Graham perceives of himself as fair and kind and noble and always offering. He feels like he compromised himself into situations that are devastating. He feels that his constant compromising with people he shouldn't be compromising with has led to physical and emotional exhaustion and devastation. Where he is at right now feels trapped by a situation that he feels he put himself into through reaching across the aisle or by offerings. This is romantic or offerings or peace offerings. It could be treaties. But what's coming in for Lindsey Graham is Ten of Swords and a feeling like I have put myself in a potentially bad situation, because now the tide is turning within the GOP. They've got to figure out what they're going to do, because this president that they have aligned themselves with, that everybody's tired of the chaos. A new contract is coming in for Lindsey Graham to get him out of a situation that he has placed himself in. What is above him? He's doing some serious soul searching. Playing his cards tight to his chest, not going forward, rejecting offers in the past, refusing to go forward. Now he, however, has some kind of negotiation of a new relationship or new contract coming in. Trying to reach across the aisle, but unfortunately, again, it feels like the Republicans went too far, and the peace, love, and harmony, and hey, can we all just get along that the Republicans are trying to create with the Democrats, it's a little too late. The Democrats are angry. They've been screaming and calling for oversight and security for this Russian hacking for over 2 years, and have been virtually laughed at and ignored. And now they want to reach across the aisle and be our friends. And it may just be, as far as many people in the Democratic leadership, it may be too little too late. And that is the unfortunate reality that the Republican Senate is now having to face. All right, so let's go ahead now, and we're going to do a quick one on Susan Collins. Let's take a look at the future of Susan. It's not looking good for Lindsey Graham might be reelected, but Mitch McConnell doesn't because Lindsey Graham's going to try and go back to being the great negotiator. And yeah, let's take a look at Susan Collins. I got a bad feeling about her future, but let's look. Will Susan Collins be reelected in 2020? Base card, an offer not being taken and moving on. I believe she said she is going to run. However, her cards are not suggesting a run. It's suggesting more, she could go into the private sector. If she goes into the private sector, she'll do very well for herself financially. It's not that she fails. That's not how I would see her cards. Quite the opposite. She has a nice 10 of Cups here over a 2 of Pentacles. Offer rejected, moving on. The High Priestess, which is opening of the eyes. It can also often be a woman who studies law. Torah is the Torah, the law. Also, it symbolizes the opening of the eyes. 7 of Pentacles is a money card. It's how one harvests one's money, and you can see a nice Empress moving in for her with a 6 of Cups, going back to something that she loves from the past, and moving on is the base card. A Knight of Wands with a 4 of Cups being rejected leads me to suspect that she may go back to working in the private sector, doing something she absolutely loves, and she may leave politics with cards like this. All right, that wraps up today's videos. That was fun. I know that Miss Mila enjoyed hanging out with us. For those people still trying to get in before I go on my vacation, Saturday, when am I flying out? I think I'm flying out Saturday, but I'm still seeing patients. Yes, Tuesday through Friday, I'm seeing patients. I'm here full time, so if anyone needs to reach me, you can make your phone readings by going to the link below. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Please reach out to me if you have any questions about throws you want me to do in the future, and I'll try and put up some videos, a couple more videos before I leave. So, all right, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time. Take care.